who will see their insurance premiums go up.
Don't make it sound so bad, because obviously you're a sycophant for Democrats. You're obviously a provider of bad news for Republicans. Let me just say something. The Republicans, I think I can speak for Tom and most other people. I think what most Republicans want to see is what I want to see. And I leave it to them, and hopefully they're going to put great legislation on this desk right here. We want to see all of the money that's been squandered and given to insurance companies, because Obamacare is horrible health insurance. It's far too expensive, and it always has been. But what it really is a way of making insurance companies rich. We want the money not to be paid at all to insurance companies. Insurance companies have gone up 1,700% over a short, meaning the stock, 1,700% over a short period of time. And they've taken in hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars. And we want the money to go to the people. They'll go in the form of a insurance account, healthcare account, or any other form that we can create. We have a lot of different forms. We want to give the money to the people and let the people buy their own great health.
So President Trump is letting the press and Americans know that his plan for healthcare includes letting Americans make their own decision about their own healthcare. Now, we're going to follow this story through and then jump into the main story that we're going to be handling tonight. Now, I'm sorry that this afternoon I wasn't able to provide you a live stream or a premiere. I was in transit, and I do apologize. We're going to talk about Obamacare, Trump's solution, the fact that Democrats rejected that solution and have been lying, that saying that illegals haven't been receiving health care, when we have over 1 million illegals nationwide receiving free taxpayer-funded health care. We're going to quickly look into that. And then we're going to talk about a possible NASA cover-up. All right. Now, there's a story that made the rounds in the 90s. It was swept under the rug, but the internet picked it up, and then it's come back into focus again. And the question is NASA covering up a discovery that the Hubble Space Telescope picked up in 1994? And today we're going to be discussing that and figuring out whether they covered up something that's legitimate or whether it was actually a hoax. So we're going to need your input on this conversation, because this is the show that all of you have been waiting for. All right. That show that I've been looking forward to. Now, let's listen to this report coming from California, where they let us know how many illegal immigrants have been receiving free taxpayer health care.
Undocumented immigrants receiving taxpayer-funded benefits resulted in more than 1 million extra people enrolled in Medicaid alone.
California's Medicaid system in crisis, with Governor Gavin Newsom recently asking for not one, but 2 emergency loans totaling more than $6 billion to try to plug holes in the budget, after far more undocumented migrants enrolled in Medi-Cal than anticipated.
In the current year, to cover undocumented individuals in Medi-Cal, we're spending $9.5 billion total funds.
The state of California has taken tens of millions of dollars from the federal government, providing free health insurance for illegal immigrants in California. We're going to get that money back.
A similar crisis in New York, where immigrant enrollment in emergency Medicaid has surpassed 480,000 people, as Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency team insist they've discovered at least 1.3 million illegal migrants have Medicaid. Doge working to make massive cuts.
Now, while this was exposed earlier in the year, Hakeem Jeffries said this on the record.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage. Not one.
He says not a single undocumented immigrant gets a dime of taxpayer-funded Medicaid, but we see that in California, over 1 million undocumented immigrants have been receiving taxpayer-funded Medicaid. Now, we heard President Trump earlier speak about his new proposal because Obamacare is broken. And his proposal is let the American people get the money for healthcare and let them decide which providers they would trust for their healthcare. Here's what Hakeem Jeffries says in response to that proposal.
Can I also follow up on something from in there? The Republicans are right now talking about holding a vote next week on their health care package, but also having an amendment vote on the Fitzpatrick bill. Would that be suitable for you?
Their health care package, as I understand it, is likely to be a disaster and actually not enhance the health care of the American people. It will take away from it. So it's not clear to me that even if it's amended to include whatever Fitzpatrick has proposed, that it will actually solve the problem of addressing the Republican health care crisis.
So let me interpret Hakeem Jeffries' statement because I think I've been watching him for a while and I can speak Hakeem Jeffries, okay? Hakeem Jeffries is saying that the American people are dumb and can't decide which doctors can take care of their needs. Because if Trump gives them the money, they're too stupid to know how to take care of their health care. Okay, I hope I got through to you in Hakeem Jeffries, fashion. Stupid. All right, now, this was said last week, and the vote was just passed yesterday, and guess what happened? Okay, so here we have the floor of the Senate, and this is the motion to proceed to the consideration of Bill S-3386, the Healthcare Freedom for Patients Bill, meaning President Trump ensures that the American people get the money in order to decide their own healthcare. And guess what? They voted. All right. 51 Republicans voted yes. All the Democrats voted no. And then we have the usual suspects. We have Rand Paul voting along with the Democrats that the American people shouldn't be given these funds in order to determine where they get their health care from. All right, so this is exactly what we discussed a couple of days back when we talked about healthcare, and we also discussed the kinds of votes that Rand Paul pushes in, and it is infuriating that these politicians believe that letting the American people have access to the funds and determine where these funds go is a failure. In other words, they have no faith in the American people. Now, this is the story that we're just going to open with, and we're going to, just talk about this since I didn't cover any stories today. And then we're going to dive into the story of the hour. We're going to talk about a possible NASA cover-up and what is it that they saw that freaked them out so much, if this is a cover-up, and caused them to essentially say, there's nothing to see here. Okay. Now, let's see. In the chat, Patricia says hi. Canary King is in the chat as well. Now, if you're watching, right, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video. Okay, there's a poll up there. Okay, so just read the poll and take the poll and do what the poll or do what you say you're going to do in the poll. And then at this point, when we begin to talk about this next story, the phone lines are going to open. The link in the chat, will give you access to be able to call in and give your thoughts on what we're discussing. It's a very interesting story. And I hear some of the excuses, or I read some of the excuses online, and it's like I don't buy any of those excuses. Okay, we're talking about aliens. We're talking about a possible sighting of something extremely interesting. Okay, so let's Let's read the chat and then we jump into that story. Okay, now Canary King is on, and Patricia is on. I would expect at least Patricia will be joining me on to discuss it because she turned me on to this. Canary King, if you want to join in or if you're still tied up and can't join, that's fine. But we need to actually talk about this because it's very intriguing. Patricia says, that is exactly what Jeffrey stated. Okay, I'm glad that I didn't misrepresent him because simply saying that handing taxpayers money that has originally been earmarked for their health care to allow them determine who they trust for their health care or with their health care will fail is essentially saying that the American people are too stupid to make a decision on their own health care. That's what it means. All right. Now, and Patricia says Rand Paul is a dentist. Okay, that would make a huge adjustment to his career. Okay, now he's a dentist. That's interesting. So that means if Medicaid were to go away, I'm just trying to put two and two together. If Medicaid were to go away, his practice would essentially go belly up because all that money, all that inflated payment that comes in through Medicaid stops coming in. So health insurance companies stop making money. Hospitals and private practices that receive payments through Medicaid will stop making as much money. That's interesting. All right. Okay, so we're going to just, stop here. This is a very quick take on this story. Patricia still has a thought here. She says, I think that every member of Congress should disclose how much stock they own in healthcare insurance companies. They won't. It's like sending the fox to guard the hen house. These people have essentially created a racket. From all indications, they have a racket going that allows them to write laws with loopholes that allow them to do things like that on both sides, okay, on both the Republican side and the Democrat side. And that is very disappointing. And every time conversations around disclosures or fraud or corruption come up, they light a fire somewhere else so that the American people are distracted. I mean, you can see the pattern. Once we started talking about the fraud in Minnesota and the fraud in Maine, and it's beginning to pick up. There's fraud in California. Like there's like this fraud bushfire happening in the Democrat Party. Suddenly, the Epstein files have come up again. We've seen reports in the news. CNN carried it. It's one of the stories that I have listed, but I think we're going to talk about it tomorrow night instead, so that we can give all our attention to this like we've promised. All right, so I think there has to be a vote on that. The American people have to insist on it. I've talked about the possibilities that conservatives should begin to consider using some of the tools of the progressives, which is protest. Essentially protest and say, look, you guys have to show us the books. Of course, they're going to say that the conservatives are a threat to democracy when they come to the Capitol to protest anything, but they have these unhinged leftists coming in every week to sit out and to protest every other day, and they are not a threat to democracy, right? You have them screaming and interrupting hearings like we saw yesterday, okay, with the hearing with Kristi Noem, and they barge in and they disrupt hearings, and they are not a threat to democracy. So we see the double standard, we call it out, and then, it's just sad that we don't really see that much movement happening. All right, so let's dive into the story of the day, okay, guys? I want us to I want us to talk about this. Okay, now this is a story that has essentially eluded. Like I didn't know this was a thing. Okay, in 1994, there was a report that was released that said that that the newly so the Hubble Space Telescope was undergoing some repair, and just after it was repaired, there were pictures that were produced from the telescope that revealed what people called a celestial city. It wasn't a it wasn't a meteor, but it was too structured, and there were some details that looked like there were buildings in there. Now, there were reports that the Clinton administration was informed of this development, and all of a sudden, it went away. Now, okay, so now the phone lines are open. Okay, so here's the breakdown. Okay, I'm going to read this this post. Okay, this post was posted in 2013. Okay, in 1998, in 1994, a researcher smuggled one top secret photo the Hubble Space Telescope had taken of what is presumed to be heaven. Weekly World News was the first to print the image and report on Dr. Mason's findings. I don't know if this is Mason or Mason. It's a double S, so I think it's Mason. Dr. Mason's findings. But despite the media coverage, NASA refused to acknowledge the existence of the photo. Now that the Hubble has been repaired and NASA is officially releasing some of its new findings, the Weekly World News editorial team believes it is NASA's responsibility to further investigate this space anomaly. So it's considered an anomaly. Okay, so Patricia has joined. I'll just bring her in. All right, now you can always join by using the link in it's pinned in the chat. Okay. So I'm reading this story. So it's called An Anomaly. NASA has yet to respond, but take a look below for our exclusive report on the first photo. So I've zoomed in on the photo. It looks interesting, and there have been reports. I did some AI research just to say, okay, I need to know everything that has been said about this story. And the three websites tell different stories. One believes that this is a valid discovery, that this could be heaven or the New Jerusalem. There's another page that says this is a hoax, and then the other is just trying to be middle of the road. So Patricia, you turned me on to this, and I was intrigued. I was like, okay, I haven't heard about this before, but I am intrigued because I don't like to reject things out of hand. I want to hear the facts. I want to understand what happened. And the question is, if this is true, because we've had sightings of advanced aircraft that can splash into the water without releasing any effect. They just disappear underwater, and they were spotted by highly trained U.S. Air Force pilots.
Correct.
So they were not hallucinating. They are very intelligent, highly trained people, and their ability to spot and identify different crafts is the difference between life and death for them. So it's not something that they would that they would make up. Okay, they would not qualify to fly those jets if they couldn't spot aircraft, identify them, and make a quick judgment call whether that was an enemy or a friend. So when you put all these stories together and then you hear people say that never happened, that's a conspiracy theory, and then you continue hearing these accounts come up, there seems to be a culture of covering up things that can't be explained, things like this. So you turn me on to this, and I'd like you to kind of flesh it out and say, just tell us what things that these articles may not be saying, because this has been out there since 1994. And I didn't know about it till you told me about this just a few days ago.
When I first ran across this, what exploded was I had told my mother, who is very religious, at one time that I would not be shocked if New Jerusalem came down on a mothership. To get something that big onto this planet at one time, that in my mind is what it would take.
Yep.
So I was on the NASA website looking at space nebulas. I was in a painting class at that time, and this was in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I ran across this, and I just went, say what? Because scientists, they had spotted this, and then the scientists at NASA were examining the photographs. And they're the ones that dubbed it New Jerusalem because it looked like a huge city floating around out there in on the edge of our universe. So then they wanted to take another look, and they repositioned the Hubble back to the place where this was found, and it was gone.
All right. So you saw this on their website,
Yeah,
not
their
on a
website.
blog,
Not
on
a
their
blog,
website.
On their website. And when they went back to look for it, it was gone. So they scanned in different directions, and they found it again. And the scientists had made the statement that it was moving in a planned direction. And after that, I went on YouTube and started doing my thing with that there on looking up New Jerusalem, and all sorts of things were popping up. And I went back yesterday to find the NASA post on it, and they were gone. They're gone. You can't find them on there anymore. And a lot of the stuff that was on YouTube has disappeared. So
yeah, because I went on YouTube and I tried to do a search on New Jerusalem, and all I saw were videos that kind of they were more like AI generated videos that kind of played a motion generated version of this photo on the screen, and it was like, this looks, it's strange that something that has been in the zeitgeist, or something that people have talked about for years, doesn't have more information about it. This is something that was discovered or talked about in 1994, and you said you found it on the NASA website, and suddenly it's gone.
It's gone. They scrubbed
it.
And that comes from countries around the world saying, "Oh, this will create a panic. This will destroy religious beliefs. This will totally unleash pandemonium on Earth." And I don't believe that. I don't believe it would do that, because the story was out there and nobody panicked. I mean, it was all over the place at one time, and nobody was going, "Oh Lord, we got to convert everybody to Christianity."
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Well, the problem with these kinds of discoveries for the scientific community is that it immediately drives people into the arms of Christianity or into reading the Bible, and many of them don't want that to happen. They don't want that to happen. Now, I'm not saying either way that this is a hoax or that this is heaven that was spotted. I'm saying that most times something as simple as this that should be researched and investigated. I mean, they show us pictures of nebulas all the time, and they make sure that it's well photoshopped and enhanced, and they celebrate it to justify their huge budgets. But whenever it comes to things like this, that kind of hints to the fact that, okay, this thing that was written in the Bible might actually be true, it suddenly disappears or it becomes a hoax.
Well, there is a description of the size that New Jerusalem will be. And it's so huge that it's going to cover Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and part of the Sinai Peninsula in Saudi Arabia. It's that huge.
Okay.
And this thing would do that. And that's what they didn't want to discuss, was this big enough to pull that off.
All right. Now, I'm going to give you guys my opinion at the end of the show. I don't want to tell you what I think, okay, because it's just what I think. And the funny thing is, I have another live stream that I have another channel that I use for Bible study and stuff. People ask me questions that are Bible related, and I just go there and I record videos to answer their questions. So that question about when the nuclear facility in Iran was bombed, people began to do videos on YouTube saying that this is the end of the world, this is the beginning of the Third World War, and the rapture is about to happen because of that. And I understand the mindset of people who create those videos, and I just went and did a video to talk about that, and I spoke about something like this. Well, I'll talk about it at the end of this episode so that I can just give you my thoughts in a very succinct way. But if you're watching, okay, what do you think about this story so far with what you've heard from Patricia? Now, ask your questions. If you want to jump on and talk with us on the panel, the link is open. It's out there. It's easy to simply see someone write an article that says this is a hoax, and you just turn around and say, well, I guess it is, and you don't dig any further. But you heard me ask Patricia twice and try to confirm that she actually saw this on the NASA website. This isn't the first time that they've scrubbed information from websites. And with YouTube, we all know that stuff goes missing all the time on YouTube. Whole channels disappear because they don't like what they say. So let me know what you think in the chat, or you can join the show and just have a conversation. Now, we want to talk about things like this that are within the realm of the paranormal, and the thing with things that are paranormal or things that are not widely reported by the news is that there's always an element of truth, and then there's always this discomfort whenever we want to zoom into the conversation and say, what exactly is happening here? And suddenly you start hearing people use the term conspiracy theory, hoax, kooks. So what do you think, and what are the questions we should be asking about this phenomenon? Now, one of the arguments that I read, I put this in AI, and one of the things that I saw people saying was that that the photo wasn't the right quality. It was, it was too hazy, and that the Hubble Space Telescope produces high resolution imagery, and that this isn't representative of the quality of photos that Hubble produces. And I thought to myself, well, James, sorry.
I need to poop.
You,
Hi, James.
right, James, say hi to everyone. Say hi. All right. All right. Marcus, you're gonna need to take him to use the washroom, okay, please? All right, so let Marcus help you, okay? Let Marcus help you, okay? All right, give me a hug and good. All right, so go with Marcus, okay? All right. Shut the door, please.
You mentioned about the quality of the photo they released.
Yeah.
If you look at the photos of the so-called comets that have been entering our solar system from outside of it, the quality of those is the same as this. They're very blurry. They're not real defined.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add that NASA released photos of Mars for years, claiming that it was red, that everything was red. It turns out that all of that was Photoshop. It's not red. because they wanted to stay on brand to say this is the red planet, but it's not red. It was all color filtered to make it look that way. That we're just finding that out, just this year. Well, at least I did.
The night that the first probe was going to be flying over Mars, and they were going to release live the photographs coming back off of it. My daughter and I stayed up late that night to watch it. And when it flew over that one structure that showed a face, they killed the feed immediately.
Whoa.
It was gone.
Okay,
They stopped it right there. And we were looking at each other, and I looked at my daughter, and I said,
what did we just see?
I said, I think we've got evidence that we're all Martians.
There are many questions. Okay, there are many questions that need answering, and I don't know. Guys, let's know in the chat. The link to call in is pinned in the chat. Okay, so if you want to call in and just talk and ask questions, okay, that's what this show is about. We're just having a conversation. Okay.
Well, NASA is really bad about covering up a lot of stuff, especially pictures that astronauts have taken from the space station. They took feeds from the space station. We know that there was a gap during the Apollo moon mission that they cut all sound off of it. And everybody speculates about what was said, and then things come out. Oh, well, they were reporting to NASA that they were seeing these craft that was watching them and following them. And, people are going to believe what they want to about that stuff. But when something like that happens, that there's a gap in communication on a live feed, you start wondering, well, why did they cut it off?
Yeah.
Why did they mute it? And that's the same way with this. When I read it, I thought, wow, that's an amazing discovery out there. And there was even reports of them seeing beings flying around this thing. So how much of that was made up before they killed it all, I don't know. I can't say for certain. The being thing did not come from the NASA website.
Okay.
That came from a YouTube post.
Okay.
So, but I do know that the scientists who looked at this are the ones that dubbed it New Jerusalem because it looked like a floating city.
All right. Now, the struggle with these kinds of these kinds of shows where you're presenting a story and people have to respond is when they don't respond and you're like, are we still talking? Are we still here? Because I saw this when you told me about this, and I opened up the videos and the pages, and I saw the photos. I didn't know what to say. I was speechless. So I think they're going through the same sensation. I looked at this, and in my head, I was like, is this real or is this a hoax? And if it's a hoax, how come I haven't heard anything about this, whether it's real or a hoax? I haven't heard anything about this since it was being discussed in 1994 until 2025.
Yeah.
So it is a well covered up hoax. So well covered. So it's such a huge hoax. Like we've been through a bunch of hoaxes over the last 5 years, or 10 years. We've had the Trump hoaxes that they continue to push. Everyone hears these hoaxes, and till tomorrow they still believe that these hoaxes are true. There are hoaxes in popular culture that people still talk about today and still believe that they're true. But what's going on with this one?
The difference between those hoaxes and this one possibly being a hoax is they always come out with evidence to prove it's a hoax. Or they disprove the evidence that's been presented. None of that has happened with this. NASA hasn't come out and said, oh, this is fake picture, somebody made this up. You haven't heard a peep out of them over it. It's just gone. On their website, it's gone. No mention of it, no way to find it, just gone.
Canary King says fascinating. Well, it is fascinating. I am just wondering. I'm wondering what all of this could mean. Because if this is a hoax, someone went through a whole lot to create this back in 1994.
Well, if it was a hoax, it should have never showed up on the NASA website.
Exactly. So it showed up on the NASA website, meaning that someone thought that it was important enough to show up on NASA's website.
It's like the Roswell crash, and the Army Air Corps comes out and says, oh, we've got a flying saucer that crashed in the desert. And then they come back, oh no, it wasn't that. It was a weather balloon.
It's crazy so we're going to be bringing up other stories that are tied to extraterrestrial life, UFOs, the disappearance of those aircrafts that were said to have crashed. The Malaysia, I've forgotten the ID of that plane, the one that disappeared completely. It was said to have crashed somewhere, but they found the wreckage in a different part of the world, and there are things that have been said. I've watched some reporting, and I've seen some people who are saying that the videos that they've gathered that covered the disappearance of those aircraft show that it was either alien technology that was involved, or it was human technology that no one knows about yet that was at play with that particular incident. And there are speculations that it was actually a sort of assassination of an individual or individuals on that jet who had information or who were hot on the heels of something that they didn't want them to uncover. It was a very strange conversation, and I watched it and I was like, okay, these things are happening, and if you pay attention to these things and dig deeper, people might begin to call you Alex Jones. because you say stuff and it's like, no, you can't be saying stuff because that's not real. All right, but now we're looking at these cover-ups. We've seen too many cover-ups over the last 8 years that I don't think anyone telling us that, oh, this is a hoax is enough to get us to just back down to say, okay, well, I guess we'll just forget about this.
Also, at that time in 1994, they were still denying that there were strange craft flying around our atmosphere.
Mm.
And if you mentioned seeing anything like that, you were immediately thought to be a whack job, that you were nuts, you were insane, and you were just talking off your head.
Yeah.
So covering this up at that time wasn't a big shock because they discredited people seeing real stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that one craft that showed up at the Chicago O'Hare Airport, and people photographed it. There was thousands of people there that seen it, and they came back and said, "Oh, you all didn't see what you saw." Just tell them they didn't know what they were looking at.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'm trying to wrap my head around. Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and one of the questions that I guess people will be asking is, yes, James. No, you can't play with your blocks. You have to go to bed now. Okay. Good night. Good night, sweetie. Good night, sweetie. How can I have a YouTube career with my kids interfering with my professional production? It's not gonna.
Because you're a good dad and you take care of it.
Well, thank you.
But
okay, so
as a Christian, I want this to be true. I want them to have seen a sign from God that, yeah, I'm out here and I'm real.
Yeah.
And that would scare them more than meeting an alien face to face. Because they know what the future holds with realizing that that's true.
Yes. That is true. Now look at this. So I googled what you said about the Chicago O'Hare UFO sighting, and it says it happened on November 7th, 2006, 4:15 p.m. 12 United Airlines employees and a few witnesses outside O'Hare International Airport reported a sudden UFO sighting. So when 12 people see the same thing, it's undeniable, I guess, because in a court of law, you need 2 or 3 witnesses, okay, to prove something. And here you have 12 people who had an undeniable experience sighting this aircraft, and possibly they all described it. Witnesses described the object as completely silent, 6 to 24 feet in diameter, and dark gray in color. Several independent witnesses also saw the object. So not only did the 12 individuals see this craft, people outside the airport also saw the same thing and described the same thing. One described a disc-shaped craft hovering over the airport, stating it was obviously not clouds. According to this witness, the object shot through the clouds at high velocity, leaving a clear blue hole in the cloud layer. The hole reportedly seemed to close itself shortly afterwards. At least 4 of the eyewitness accounts of the sightings don't agree on shape, height, movement, time, or even the number of objects sighted, leading to concerns about the veracity of the incident, also the veracity of the reports, and whether the incident was a coordinated hoax. So they've thrown in the doubt, which of course tends to happen. If 5 of us met someone and we were all told to describe that person, there are chances that we would not all describe that person accurately. But did we see a certain characteristic of the person that matched? Okay, was he Caucasian? Was he 6 foot tall, or around the range of 5'9" and 6 foot tall? You know, there are those.
Well, it's a proven fact at a crime scene with witnesses, they will all give a different description of the suspect.
Yeah.
Including the color of clothing that they're wearing.
Yeah.
Some will say, oh, it was a red shirt. Some will say, oh, no, it was more purple or pink or something like that. And it's all based on people's perception of the colors they see.
Yeah.
Which can be different from person to person.
Yeah.
So that's a proven fact that 5 people seeing the same crime happen in front of their eyes will all give 5 different accounts to it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't prove that the crime didn't happen. Is all it does is give the police a whole bunch of information to have to filter through to find out what was what. And they've had that happen with crimes and with car wrecks, that 5 witnesses to a car wreck will come up with 5 different stories about it.
Yeah. November 7th, 2006.
Yep.
All right. So let me tell you what I think. Okay. So we're at that point where I'll say what I think. Okay. There's an interpretation of the conversation that Jesus had with the disciples on the Mount of Olives. It's called the Olivet Discourse, and that's where he prophesies the destruction of Jerusalem and a bunch of other things. And one of the things that they asked him was, what will be the sign of your coming? And Jesus says, when you see the sign of the Son of Man appearing in the clouds, you know that the time is at hand. And I asked the question during one of those videos. I said I recorded to answer the question whether Trump bombing the Iranian nuclear facilities was a trigger to World War III and whether it was the end of the world. I said, no, it's not. Because here's what Jesus clearly said. And then I asked the question, what is that sign? Because the way Jesus puts it, everyone is going to see it. It's not just a sign that only his disciples will see. He says that the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the clouds, and great fear and terror will overtake the world because of what they've seen. So there's going to be something show up in the upper atmosphere, and it's going to freak out everyone. Okay, so looking at this just reminded me of what I said on, in that video, because I asked the question, what will people see? Will they see a building? Will they see a spaceship? Will they see an army of angels physically show up in the upper atmosphere of the earth? And we have satellites, and everyone should be able to have a good look at them. So what will we see? And I think if this is, what I think it is, then that might be one of the things we're going to see.
Well, doesn't the Bible say there will be many signs of my coming?
It does.
It doesn't say what the signs are going to be.
Yeah.
But that brings me to another one that people all over the world have been hearing sounds in the cities that sound like horns being blown. Like a trumpet.
Yeah.
And that's recorded. I mean, you can look it up on YouTube. They've got videos on it where you can actually hear the sound.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave me a chill because I've been keeping count of it. And I think there's like 4 that's been sounded off.
4.
And there's 7 seals to be broken that a trumpet will sound each seal.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. I mean, if that ain't a sign, I don't know what would be.
All right, guys. Anything to add? Any questions? Look, we're just walking through this and trying to figure out, okay, what does all of this mean? Here's what I think, but what do you think? We are going to be talking now. This is by no means the last time we're going to be bringing this up, but we're going to be opening up conversations around some of the reports that we've heard over the last few years on sightings like this one from Chicago. And we're going to bring up some of the reports from military personnel, Air Force pilots.
How those videos got released, don't you? There's a story behind that. There was a guy working in a special department on the UAPs, unidentified air phenomenon.
Yeah.
And he got fed up with how it was being, the information that they were collecting was received by the Pentagon. That he felt like they were ignoring it and not wanting to disclose it. So he was going to quit. And before he did, somehow he put through a release for those videos, and they got released when he quit. And he now runs an organization that goes out and hunts this stuff down. And he's got some videos that he's produced on this stuff. So that was one of the things that just floored me. He got classified videos that pilots had released. Come on. And then I found the story about him out, and I thought, well, that makes sense. I said he he did some Houdini stuff there that was pretty good.
Yeah. I pulled up a YouTube video that seems to have like someone. Well, it's fuzzy, but it shows the object floating up in the air there. It's dark. So that's meant to be the sighting at the airport. You know, so it's crazy to watch. Okay, it's crazy. It's crazy to watch actual evidence that these things happen. And it's almost like people are afraid to dig deeper, or every time it seems someone is getting close, that person begins to get labeled a kook, conspiracy theorist,
Yep.
or something that kind of discredits them and makes people just not want to listen to them.
That's like the videos out of Jerusalem when a glowing globe came down out of the night sky and settled over the Temple Mount, and it gave off a pulse that included a flash of light, and then it shot straight up into the air so fast that you'd almost miss it. And hundreds of people around Jerusalem got videos of it. And the one guy who videoed it, he said something like, "Did you see that?" And it was an amazing piece of video because that thing came down real slow, gave off the pulse, and then just shot at supersonic speed straight up and disappeared. And I was wondering if it had triggered something that was hidden at the Temple Mount. Because why would it give off a pulse like that?
Yeah.
And you can see in the photograph how the pulse generated out from the orb and spread outward. It was like an electronic pulse of some sort.
All right. Jerusalem orb. I think I'll just do a quick search.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, because UFO spotted over I think this might be it. Let's see.
That's it.
Okay. Okay, so that's it.
There's the
So that's
orb.
the orb. Okay.
Yeah, comes down.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. Now that was a private person who took that.
Yeah. Like it drops.
I went back and watched it I don't know how many times. And
wow.
Yeah, something happened there.
Yeah.
Something
So
definitely happened there.
and this is the History Channel, guys. It's not like this is produced by the History Channel. Okay. So like there's so many things that are happening in the world that people just can't explain or don't want to explain or don't even want to know what it's about. Oops. Let me go back.
Some of the statements over this was that they thought it had come down to activate the Ark of the Covenant. That the Ark was still there under the Temple Mount and it was activating it. But I said, if you activated it, what would it do?
Yeah. All right. So I've given you my thoughts on what I think the New Jerusalem phenomenon is. Let me know your thoughts in the chat or in the comments section. We can't go past the hour mark for two reasons. One, I've been up since 4 a.m, drove 8 hours, about 8 hours, both ways today. almost fell asleep at the wheel and almost drove off road. And I was hoping to catch a nap before going live, but I felt that if I did, I would wake up tomorrow morning and have to figure out how to apologize to everyone for building up your expectations and then falling asleep when we could be having these conversations. But this is interesting. Look, guys, there's so much happening all over the world. There's so much unexplained phenomena, and it's captured by private individuals. It is undeniable that there's something going on in the world. Most of it is unexplainable or unexplained. Some of it is covered up, and it'd be great to just talk about these things, and possibly we might get some answers while we're having these conversations.
And nothing's been stated about that globe coming down over the Temple Mount.
Like it's crazy. Like I'm like, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, and I'm watching this video, and this video is, and look at the pulse. It just releases a pulse here and then disappears. Like it's insane.
And that's not a drone, because a drone could not shoot up straight like that.
Yeah.
That fast.
Yeah. So let's know what you think about all of this in the chat, in the comment section. I can't go beyond an hour. I do need to catch some rest, but we'll be back tomorrow at 10 p.m. tomorrow night, and then we will just have an hour of covering the news and talking. But it's great to have this conversation. I'm glad we were able to launch this. I'm glad that we were able to keep our word and do this. I hope that we can, keep doing this. And if you have other stories like this that you want to cover, or you want to, add to what we've just talked about today, please send an email to this email address. Okay, that's on the screen. All right, let's just have a conversation. This isn't about conspiracy theories. This is about questions. Okay, why did this happen? How come no one is talking about it? What do you think it means? All right, it's not about creating conspiracy theories. And even if I say, here's what I think it is, it doesn't mean you have to think that's what it is. Okay, but it might just create a patchwork that if we put everything together, we might come up with something that makes sense. But this phenomena, I'm going to watch it again and again and try and figure out what that is.
Yeah, that's
all right, guys.
Forget you.
yeah, guys. I wish we could drag it out, but my energy level isn't where it should be. Hopefully tomorrow night, hopefully I would have gotten some rest. But I have my weekends tend to be busy, but I'll see what we can do. So we're going to be doing 10 p.m. on Saturday night and 10 p.m. again on Sunday night. So we're going to be coming in to have these live streams together. Hopefully we can all sit and talk and share our thoughts on what's going on in the news. We're going to come back again next Friday and have another conversation just like this, covering new topics or revisiting some of these things. I'm curious about the theory that the pyramids were a power source or a power generation instrument. People have said that they were not created originally to be tombs, that they were actually like power generators or something. Like, these are the things that are, that I would like us to kind of discuss. What have we found? And who knows, eventually someday we might be able to collectively make trips to places like Egypt to take a look at the pyramids for ourselves, and then come up with our own conclusions. But it's fun to have these conversations, and it's fun to discover things like this. I have never seen this video before until tonight, so it's shocking. And
some weird stuff.
It's amazing. There are other topics that we're working on now. The paranormal isn't just what we're going to be focusing on. There are other stories that the press refuses to cover. that we will also be talking about. We're looking through the options, and look, if you have something that you think will be a great story for this slot, send it to the email address that's on the screen. We want to include everyone. We want to be able to cover some of these things and have conversations. And look, the biggest part of this whole deal is that you get to talk and you get to let us know what you think. And so whenever it seems like we're waiting on you to leave something in the chat or in the comment, it is because we're waiting for you to leave something in the chat or in the comment, because this is meant to be a conversation where we cover these stories and then we collectively try to figure things out. So
What do you think?
oh, it's cute.
This is my talker.
Oh,
All night.
all right, so guys, we're through with the story for tonight. Okay, if you're watching after the fact, let's know your thoughts about this in the chat. We covered the regular news earlier, okay, and let us know about that if you think that you want to drop some thoughts on those stories. But for this, we'd love to hear your thoughts about the New Jerusalem phenomena. Do you think it means something that we haven't covered? Let's know about it in the chat or in the comment section. If it is about this phenomenon we just watched, or the orb, or the gray craft that floated above O'Hare Airport in Chicago, look, it's important that we don't ignore these things. They're happening out there for everyone to see. To dig our heads into the sand and pretend like it's not happening, and if it's not happening, it's not going to bother us. I don't think it's a smart move. We need to ask questions and talk about these things. Okay. All right, guys.
Go get some rest.
Yeah, I will. Before I hit go live, I was dragging myself all over the house trying to get things together, get my water bottle filled, and I was like, oh God, I hope I don't come through as being too tired. But as soon as I hit the go live button on the screen, I just like, hey, here we are. So there's an energy that I get when I connect with you guys, and sometimes it can be very deceptive, because I'm full of energy and I'm enthusiastic, and then when I go off the air, it's like you have to drag me to to bed because I'm so worn out. So I don't want to overdo it. So I'll just save some energy for tomorrow, but let's know your thoughts, okay? Let's know your thoughts about everything. I think I have put up Canary King's last chat. I just want to be sure. He said fascinating, and I think he's referring to the initial story. There are other things to cover, and we will be talking about them now. Again, I would like to encourage you to please always let's know what you think. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer unless you're engaging in a bad faith conversation in the chat. Then we'll tell you that doesn't look like you're here to have a conversation. So we'll be meeting again tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, sorry, 9 p.m. Eastern. 10 p.m. my time, and we will be going over the stories that will be taking place in the news. Lots of crazy things get snuck in while the weekend is going on, and they hope that we don't pay attention or notice. So we'll be picking up on some of those stories or having conversations with each other tomorrow night. All right, guys, thank you so much. And thank you for hanging out and leaving your comments and engaging in the chat. I appreciate spending time with you. It's always fun. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, good night and God bless you.
Good night, everybody.
Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching headlines and history. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together. See you soon.